In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to cut a friard, okay? A friard is also called a peplum or a circle flare. I'm going to need two measurements to cut a friard, okay? So it depends on where you want to attach your friard to. If you want to attach it to a blouse, you're going to need your waist circumference. If you want to attach it to the length of your gown, of your dress, you're going to need the circumference of that particular area you want to attach it to. If you want to attach it to your sleeve, you're going to need your round sleeve measurement. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'll only use a waist circumference, okay? So you're going to apply the same thing to other parts of your dresses. If you want to attach it to your sleeve, it's the same way you go about it, okay? So like I said, you're going to need your waist circumference, okay, or your round sleeve or your gown circumference or your hip circumference, anywhere you want to attach it to, okay. And also you're going to need your peplum length, okay. Those are the two measurements that you need to cut a friard, okay. You're going to need your waist circumference and you're going to need your peplum length, okay. Now I'm going to be working with waist circumference of 30 inches in this tutorial, all right, and peplum length of 6 inches. Now this is not the standard measurement. Now there are different types of friard. It all depends on how full you want it to be on and also on the fabric you have, okay. So the simplest friard you can cut is called a 180-degree circle flare, okay. That is what it's called. That's the simplest and it's not as full as the other ones, okay. So that's the simplest one. I'm going to show you how to cut that in this tutorial, okay. Now this is what the 180-degree circle looks like. Can you see it's not full, okay? And this kind of friard fits well on an office dress because it's going to lay on your dress, okay. It's not going to have ruffles, okay, unlike the 360-degree flare. This is the 360-degree flare, okay. This one is fuller than this one. So if you want to have all those ruffles, folds, okay, you can go for a 720-degree flare, a 1080-degree flare, and a 1440-degree flare. I'm going to touch all of that in this video, okay. So like I said, you're going to need your waist circumference. So from this point here, okay, all of this line here that I'm touching here is the waist circumference plus the zipper allowance and the seam allowance, okay. And if you want to add ease allowance to it, you can go ahead and add ease allowance to it, okay. So and then from this point to this end here is your peplum length, okay. So your waist circumference and your peplum length, these are the two measurements you need to know, okay. So now let's say, okay, you want to cut a 180-degree circle flare and our waist circumference is 30 inches. To cut a 180-degree circle flare, you fold your fabric into two. Look at my pattern paper here. I'm going to fold it into two, all right. Now you're going to have this folded end here and you're going to have this open end here. Now you have two layers here and two layers here. Now you're going to fold this open one here. Can you see? So we're going to need this and this. This one here, you're going to fold it to meet this folded one, or you fold this one to meet this one, okay. So you just take it like this in a form of a triangle. Can you see? Can you see what I'm doing? You fold it like this. I hope you all got that, okay. You fold it that way, so you form a triangle and then you have 4 layers unfold, okay. You have 1, 2, then 3, 4, all right. That's it. Since you already folded our fabric into 4 like this, you're going to divide our measurement by 4, okay. Your circumference measurements, okay. But before we divide, I'm going to add all of the allowances that we need as well. So we're going to add zip allowance. If you want to insert zip at the back, you need to add like 2 inches zipper allowance. If you also want to, you also need to add your seam allowance, okay. That's usually like 1 inch. And then your ease allowance, you can also add 1 inch. That makes it 2 inches, okay. So this is what's 34. Then you divide it by 4. You know why? Because you folded your fabric into 4, okay. You have 4 layers. So now you have what? 34 divided by 4, all right. That's 8.5, all right. So we're going to try to find this 8.5 around it, connecting the two sides together, okay. You're going to try to find the 8.5. So for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to use the centimeter as my inches, okay. Just fold it around it, and I'm going to look for the 8.5. You can see the way I'm placing my tape rule. Can you see now that I have the 8.5? So as you're doing this, try to take cognizance of both sides to be sure that they are equal. I mean, this side and this side, okay? It may not be perfect. You're still going to cross-check, but it will save you time and stress, okay? So once you, because you can easily do it like this and see you're looking for 8.5, and obviously this is longer than this one. So what I'm trying to say is that as you're measuring, try to make sure that you're making sure both sides are equal. Now let's see where our 8.5 is, okay? I think this is it. I'm just going to mark a point, okay? Oh, sorry. I'm just going to mark it just to know where my measurement is, okay? Now, so before you go ahead, you're going to cross-check to be sure that you have the same thing on both sides. So you start to measure it from the top of the fabric or your pattern paper. So here I have about 10.5. Then you come here as well, and then you see what you have here. So I think I have about them. No, this is 10 inches exactly. This is 10 inches exactly. Okay, so you can see that here I have 10 inches, but here I have 10.5. So I'm just going to reduce this one to 10 inches, okay? And let's see if it's going to be accurate. If not, I'll increase the other one to 10.5, okay? So I'm just going to reduce it to 10 inches. Okay, sorry, I need this thing to be stable. Alright, so this is where 10 inches is. Then I will mark 10 inches at the center as well so that I can take the round measurement. Okay, just measure 10 inches at the center. Alright. Now you try to see what you have. Just measure it round. Okay, just to be sure that we have the 8.5 that we're looking for. Can you see? We have the 8.5 that we're looking for. Okay, so just take the 10 inches that we got, okay, as a length round at other points, okay, so I can have a perfect curve by the time you're connecting your line. Okay, so to measure 10 inches, you're going to take at other points. All right, okay, let me do that again. 10 inches, 10 inches. Okay, so there you have it. So this is going to be your waist circumference. Okay, you can choose to connect it or just cut it straight, but I think it's best to connect it so that you have a perfect curve. Okay, so now this is going to be waist measurement. Okay, so from this curve now you're going to take your peplum length. Remember I said it earlier that you need your waist circumference and your peplum length for this tutorial. Okay, so you're going to take the peplum length. So we're working with peplum length of what, 6 inches. So you come to this line, okay, and then you measure the 6 inches round. Let me see. So first thing, you need to be sure that your length, this side will take up, this is the shorter side, obviously, this is shorter than this side. So you need to be sure this side will take up your length. If not, you have to manage your fabric. Probably you will cut it one by one for the front and one for the back, okay? This is just for both front, this is for both the front and the back, okay? But if you know that this will not do for your length, that means you have to reduce your measurements and divide it, okay? You have to share it, that for one for back and then one for the front. That way you have enough here. Okay, so here I think I have about, so maybe I'll just stick to 5 inches since I don't have a lot of fabric, a lot of pattern paper here. So I'll just use 5 inches for the length. Okay, so you're going to take the 5 inches round. So let me open it up for you to see. So there you have your 180-degree flare. So this is what you have. Then you notch the center, okay? The center. So when you're attaching it to the bodies or to wherever you want to attach it to, make sure the center of that top one meets with the center of this one, and then you sew, you join it round. So to sew the hemline, you can use a bias tape, or you just fold it in. If it's a stretchy fabric, it will be easier to fold it in and sew. This is the top part that we cut from this flare, as you can see. So I want to open it for you to see that it is what, a half circle. Can you see that this is not a full circle? That is why we call it what, a 180-degree circle flare. Okay, a 180-degree fayard. Okay, so that is what we have here. So this is 180-degree or half circle. All right, so now the next one I'm going to show you is called a 360-degree circle flare, and this one is fuller than this one. So if you want your fabric, your design, your fayard to have ruffles, okay, you can go for this next one, and it's also very, very simple. So you fold your fabric like this, you know, unlike the 180-degree circle flare that we just cut, I only folded into two, okay, and I joined one side to the other side, okay. But in this case, you also fold again. Now, remember I folded this way. Now I'm going to fold this way. Can you see? That's the difference. You fold here and then you fold. Now, note, this type of peplum will consume fabric, okay? Unlike the 180-degree circle flare. If you're managing your fabric, just stick to this one. Okay, stick to this one. You fold into two like this, and then you fold the other way around. Don't fold again like this. No, that's wrong. You fold this way, alright? Okay, so now you're also going to have what, 4 layers. As you can see, you have 2 folded ends here, okay, 4 layers, and also the same thing here, 4 layers. Now the same thing, since it's in 4 layers as well, we're going to stick to this measurement, okay, and then we also look for what, 8.5 inches, because it's the same thing basically, because you have 13 inches for your waist circumference, you have your 2 inches zip allowance at the back, your 2 inches seam and ease allowance, so and then you divide by 4 because you have what, 4 layers, okay. If you fold it again like this, okay, like this, to have 8 layers, you divide your measurement by 8. So now I'm going to look for the 8.5 inches connecting this angle and this angle. I'm going to look for my measurements connecting these 2 lines together. I'm going to look for my waist circumference, okay, the 8.5 inches. So the same way I did what I did for the first one, also by folding the tape rule in the form of a cone, okay, not too deep, just slightly curved. To get the 8.5, I'm going to do the same thing here as well, all right? Okay. Can you see that? Okay, then you check the length of the point that you just marked to show that you have the same measurements on both sides, okay? So here I have about 6 inches. Let me check what I have here. I think I have about 6 inches as well. All right, okay, so that's even better, it's faster. Okay, it's like 5.9. Let me see what I have here as well. It's the same thing, so it's like 5.9. So I'll do the same thing at the center to check what I'll have here. 5.9, almost 6 inches. Okay, let me mark it to some other point as well. Then you try to measure it round to see if it's going to give you the 8.5 that's your waist measurement. All right, okay, so it's too much. Can you see? It's too much. Let me do that again. It's just too much. It's about 10.5 or so. So to reduce it, now what I have here, by the time I connect it, it's going to be too much for my waist circumference. To reduce it, to just come up by maybe ½ inch or 1 inch. Okay, so let me come by 1 inch. Okay, can you see? Just come up round by 1 inch at this point. Okay, that is me reducing the circumference. Okay. But if, let's say for instance, whatever you have is not enough, you just come down, okay? That's the way you increase it, all right? Then I'll measure it as well to see if it's going to be enough for my measurement. Okay, so now I'm looking for 8.5. You can see I have the 8.5. Can you see that? So I'll connect this first point and I will ignore this other one. This one is the excess. Okay, I'm just going to connect it. Okay, To have a more perfect curve, please make sure you mark at other points as well. Okay, so this is going to be the waist circumference. By the time you measure it, you must have your 8.5 or whatever your waist measurement is. Okay, so can you see? Now from that point, also you're going to take your peplum length, and remember we're working with what, 6 inches. I'm going to measure the 6 inches round and connect it the same way I did for that first one. All right, so now you see I've connected the peplum length, and I'm going to cut it for you to see. Okay, so like I said earlier, try to tilt your hand as you cut and follow the curve. All right, you can see you don't want to be too rigid, you don't want to cut something straight. Okay, if it's your fabric, make sure to hold these sides, okay, so that you don't have it doesn't drift around, you don't have a wrong measurement. Okay, it's cut carefully. Okay, all right, there you have it. Now look at the top part that I cut from this flare. You can see you have a full circle, unlike the other one that is what, half circle. Okay, here you have a full circle. Okay, and let me open it up. This is what you have. This is what we call the 360-degree circle flare. All you need to do is just open one end up. Okay, all right, so that your zipper allowance will your zipper will be able to go in. Okay, so this then you notch the center. Okay, put a notch at the center. Okay, and that's it. That's for a free yard. That's 360-degree circle. Okay, now for a 720-degree circle flare, I'm just going to briefly explain how to go about that. Now we've talked about 360-degree circle flare, how to cut, how to measure, how to fold and everything. Now we also have a 720-degree flare. If you want it to be fuller than this one, if you want the peplum to be fuller than this one, make do with 2 circles. Okay, so you're going to have what, 360 plus 360. Okay, that is 1 circle and that 1 circle, that's 2 circles. So what I usually do is to what, share my measurement into 2. That is, okay, now I have my what, my waistline to be, my waist circumference to be 30 inches, right? So for front and for back, since I'm having 2 circles, right, now I want to have what, 15 inches for the front and 15 inches for the back, right? Isn't it? Since I have 30 inches, then I'll add my seam and his allowance to this one. But for the back, I'm going to add the zipper allowance and the seam allowance at the same time. Whatever I have, okay, so this one will be what, 17 and this one will be what, 19. Okay, then you divide by 4, because the same way you cut the 360-degree flare is the same way you're going to cut this one. So you're going to have 1 circle for this and another circle for this. So you're going to follow the same method of folding, dividing into 4 and folding into 4 as I cut this 360-degree circle flare. So whatever you have here, so basically one peplum measurement to be more than the other. This will give you 4.25, and then 19 divided by 4 will give you 4.75. all right, so make sure you note the one for the back, okay, because it has a zipper allowance. All right, that's for a 720-degree circle flare, and then you follow the measurement, you cut it, and also do the same thing as I've shown you. Now for a 1080-degree flare, you're going to have what, 3 circles, 1, 2, 3. So your waist circumference is what, 30 inches, okay, and you're going to have your zipper allowance, your seam allowance, and all divided by 4. You have what's it called, 8.5. So all you need to do is to divide the measurement by 3. Okay, divide this 8.5 by 3. Sorry about the quality, just the lights went off. So you're going to have what, 2.83. Okay, you're going to have 2.83. So you're going to cut the 2.83 round. Okay, you're going to cut the 2.83 the same way we measured for this 360-degree flare. The same thing you do for a 1440-degree flare. That one we are going to have 4 circles. Okay, so the more the fuller, that's what it is basically. Okay, the more the fuller. The same thing, your waist circumference is what, 30 inches. You do your calculation. Okay, you're going to have 8.5, you divide it by 4. Now I want you to note that when you're cutting this waist, this 1080 degree circle flare, you're going to need extra seam allowance because you're going to be joining the 3 circles together. You're going to need half inch on all the sides, okay, to join like 3 or 4 sides. They're going to be joining together, so make sure you add the half inch to your measurement. What I'll just advise you to do is just to cut out, in this case now, just approximate to 3 inches for all of the measurement. Just approximate your measurements, okay, so that you can have the extra allowance, okay, to join all your peplums together. So in this case too, whatever you get, let's say 8.5 divided by 4 will give you 2.125, okay. Because of the extra allowances, just approximate it to 2.5, okay, and you're good to go. And that's it on how to cut all of this flare. So you join it together and you have your 1440 degree flare. I have to go now. Thank you so much for watching.